So we covered. Okay, so obviously you got to have the right mindset. You got to want to do it. You got to have a starting point. We talked about how to go out there and kind of like find properties you recommend if somebody is not listed on the MLS, etc. Find those people yourself. What else? What's the next step?
I mean, it's really putting together the team. And if it's in your home market, it's something that you probably already have contact with people because you're giving names to people. Hey, this is a great electrician, or this is a great lender, or something like this. Well, you have to start finding them that are going to work for you. And the thing too is that, like I said before, the handyman is so important. It's important also that you're not paying what I call yellow page pricing, right? For when something goes wrong with the AC or the HVAC somewhere, right? And you're calling someone that's actually going to give you some sort of a deal for you coming back to them, for you maybe referring them to business. I mean, it's a very relationship business, just like real estate is in a whole. And so make sure you're putting together your team and you're finding. If you're saying, hey, I want to start with a 10-unit building, okay, great. You're going to need local banks and credit unions in that area, right? Start building relationships with them. Start figuring out what kind of programs they have available, what kind of down payments they want to see. I mean, these are going to be the people for these smaller properties, smaller commercial properties that drive by it every day, right? The investment committee that they have, that's 4 people or 3 people, and they're the ones that drive by it on their way to the office every day, and they go, oh, that's a really nice building in this area, and they're the ones that are going to lend on it, right? You're not going to find, your large banks are not going to be interested in financing your $500,000 small mixed use or 10-unit apartment building or something like this. So that's a big thing is, start building out your team that's going to handle when you actually get that signed letter of intent from, the seller back. I mean, what are you going to do now? Right. Yeah. And if you're going to if you're going to manage it yourself, and if not, have a management firm. And the best way of getting all this stuff is by referrals. So when you're out networking, find other investors, preferably local, preferably investing in the property sizes that you want to invest in, and finding out, hey, who do you use for insurance? You know what I mean? And I used to do this all the time because when I'd buy properties, the first 2 properties I bought were from larger landlords now that were going from small properties to large. And I asked my dad, I'm like, I need to, find somebody. He's like, oh, call up, this person over here, right? The person that you bought the property from. I can call them, right? I can text them right now, and they'll text me back 15 years later and tell me who I should use for insurance or HVAC, or I need some potholes fixed or something, whatever it might be, right? You know what I mean? They're going to be the ones that will reach out because it's all relationships. Maybe I want to sell my property back to them at some time. You know what I mean? So,
right. Look, you got my interest, okay? So I'm thinking to myself right now, and I'm going to ask you questions. I'm going to ask you, let's put it this way. Charles, you've obviously been in the game for well over 20 years. You've made mistakes, a lot of victories. You own a lot of units. You know what the heck you're doing. I want you to coach me. I want to get the ball rolling, okay? I want to do this. How fast can you get me to own my first investment property? Realistically speaking, I want to know, from when I began, what is the timeline before I could actually own my first multi-unit?
I would say, depending on the amount of time you're going to put in, I would say
I can put in 10 hours a week, 15 hours a week.
Yeah, I would say 3 to 6 months. That would be an honest.
So 6 months down the road, I own my first one. When will I be ready for the next one?
Well, it depends on kind of what your plan is on the first one, because if you do a little work to it, you refinance it out, maybe you'll get some cash out, but that's going to be a longer term, 6 months afterwards. It depends on how much money you can put aside for it. And depends on what kind of properties we're buying too. So the first one, you might do it with an FHA. That's going to be relatively easy to put together the money, right? $300,000 place. You got to put $10,000 together plus some closing costs. It's not really that out of many people's reach. But when you start saying next one, and now I've got to put $60,000 together, or I have to find a seller that will work with me and hold some paper, that's when you can say, okay, now I can get in. Not that I'm going to get in for 3.5%. Maybe I get in for 5% or 10% down. There's so many different ways to cut it, because you might find a property and go, oh, this is great. Like, this is a block from where my property is. I have right now this 3-family. This is a great little 8-unit. It has some deferred maintenance. Okay, then go to the guy and tell him, hey, I'll do 10 or 15% down. And then you say, hey, I need $20,000 in work. how about I take this $20,000 of work off the down payment, and I'll write in the contract that I will take care of all these hot water units and this roof issue and everything within 90 days. So now he has more equity in the property, right? He has a better asset that he's holding paper on. And then you now are in, and you've wrapped in a down payment with renovations to the property. So these are all different ways that you can really get into property. It's just thinking outside the box.
Yeah.
And it's not something typical that most real estate agents have, because obviously no one's taught it, right? It just takes it you got to be put on like a little bit of the wheeler and dealer kind of mindset going.